The iPhone 15 Pro Max has been in my pocket as my primary device since launch back in September of last year. I think it's time to make a change on that. Let's go ahead and discuss. Let's go! Cut to the video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sergi J. And in 2024, yes, we are still in 4K. So as I mentioned in the intro there, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has been my go-to device since launch in September, early September, mid-September, whatever you want to call it, of 2023. I've been using the Pro Max series pretty much since they came out with the XS, which came out, in 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. I've been using the bigger phone since then, primarily for battery life and the camera. Obviously, with Apple, you always get the better cameras in the Pro Max devices. I know last year was kind of basically it was to where they just gave you both of the phones had the same cameras. This year, of course, they did change. You got the 5x telephoto lens in this, whereas the Pro version only had a 3x. So because of the camera improvements and the battery life, I normally have gone with the Pro Max series. I did decide to change that though this time. Unfortunately, I do like bigger phones, but using the Pixel Fold for a while now, since launch basically, I've been enjoying the smaller form factor. So because of that, I did want to make a change. I know it's a little crazy to make a change in January of 2024 when we got a new iPhone coming out in September of this year, but I wanted to make a change. And of course, I can't get rid of the iPhone. I'm too linked into the ecosystem. You probably hear a lot of creators talk about that. I'm the same. I cannot lie to you. I am locked into the ecosystem. I got the Apple Watch, the MacBook Pro. Pretty much everything that I have has to do with Apple. It's unfortunate, but they got me, so I cannot leave. So with that, I did decide to make the change to the 15 Pro. And of course, the reasons I mainly went for this really don't pertain anymore. I can't see myself as being someone that can only suggest the bigger phone for a number of things. Primarily three reasons that I made the switch from the 15 Pro Max to the 15 Pro. Those, of course, are something that I never thought I could live without, and that's why I always went with the bigger device. But as I've gotten older, as I've used the bigger phone for multiple years now, I could tell you, and obviously being that I came from the Pixel Fold and I still have that as a secondary device, that may be changing soon. More on that in one of the upcoming videos. Stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, now's your chance. Hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, greatly appreciate it. But of course, when using that, the smaller form factor didn't bother me at all. And obviously because I do have a secondary device, which is a foldable, if I want something to where I want to watch a YouTube video, if I want to enjoy content, I still have a bigger screen to do that on. Of course, I also have laptops, things like that. So, it's not something that I need a bigger phone. But overall, I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro now for about a month, and that's why I waited to do this video. Obviously, I've been trying to get more content out. Definitely been busy with work and other things, but I have been wanting to upload this video for a minute and actually do this video. But after about a month of use, I can confidently say that the iPhone 15 Pro has been awesome. I know a lot of people enjoy the bigger device, the bigger form factor. I don't have necessarily the biggest hands. I don't have the smallest hands either. But this, just fits perfect in the hand. You can't go wrong with this. This pretty much you can still access the screen with one hand, whereas with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I felt like it was more of a two-handed phone. I don't always like to use cases on my phones, so I normally use it like this, which when you're holding this phone like this, it's not bad, but obviously with the iPhones, they do tend to be a little slippery, even with the titanium. They are a little slippery, so the bigger phone is a lot more slippery, so you do tend to put it in a case. And when you do, that's obviously, unless if you're going with a really thin case, that's when you get a huge device. Now, with this, I am using the Pitaka for the 15 Pro. Awesome case, by the way. But this, very small form factor, don't know if it'll focus in on the sideways like that, but because it's a small form factor, when you put it on the actual phone itself, you don't really feel like you have a case. As far as pocketability, you can still put it in your pocket easy. You don't feel like you have a big brick that you're putting in your pocket. Definitely something that was always, something that I always considered is that I always wanted the bigger screen, but the pocketability of the iPhone 15 Pros or the Pro Max series in general sucks. Let's be real. Unless if you're a bigger person, If you're tall, you have big hands, it's not an issue for you. But for most people who are, not bigger like that, it's not necessarily the go-to. So, I mean, this has been great with pocketability, with holding in the hands. Basically, just, I guess you could say, an upgrade to quality of life upgrade, basically, when you use the phone, because it's a lot easier to use. I feel more comfortable using it, and I could pretty much hold it one-handed without any issues, whereas with the 15 Pro Max, wasn't really a go. I guess, again, if you have big hands, not an issue. Just for normal, smaller sized hand people, I guess you could say, that's something that, with the Pro Max, I liked it, but I mean, it's something that I felt was not necessary. Using the Pro series now for the past month, I can definitely say it's been great. I don't regret that part at all. The second part of wanting to always go with the Pro Max series that I do feel always had an advantage, and it still does, don't get me wrong, it still does, was the battery life. I can tell you battery life on the Pro Max series is awesome. You're not going to get better battery life from an Apple device in the Pro series unless if you're looking at the 15, just the regular 15, iPhone 15 Pro, or not Pro, excuse me, the iPhone 15 Plus. Best battery life on any Apple product that I've probably ever tested for iPhones. But we're talking about the Pro series here. So, I mean, you're not going to get a better battery life than the 15 Pro Max. But with that, I mean, it used to be a bigger concern because, I didn't work from home. Now I do work from home. So let's be real. Because I work from home, I always have a charger nearby me. I always have a wireless charger that sits on my desk. I have multiple cordless chargers. I have pretty much this go-to bad boy right here. If you haven't seen these, I'm pretty sure these are pretty popular. This is an Anchor. It's a portable battery charger that pretty much has the adapter there. You just put that into your phone. This right here will actually pretty much charge up the phone almost full. Whereas with my 15 Pro Max, it didn't do that. It still left room. But again, battery life, not as big of a concern anymore, simply for the fact that I'm always by chargers. So, I mean, yes, you are losing battery life by switching to the Pro series. I have felt that on days when I have been gone away from my desk or away from chargers, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, again, I have multiple devices, luckily, but if you use your phone often, then yes, of course, I always do suggest going with the bigger series because you're obviously going to get better battery life. But, you can always do different things that you can use to extend your battery life on the Pro series. You have the ultra battery mode, the battery saver mode. You can turn that on. Of course, you're not going to get the same performance, but that does help you also extend that battery life. Not to mention, you also have these. These, again, very clutch. This is not a sponsored video, but I can speak to this because this thing is awesome. It's super small. Pop it in. You can still use your phone. Still on the go. Good to go. So yeah, battery life, hasn't been as bad. I'm still getting in between 5 to 6 hours screen on time, I feel. And that's, with pretty heavy usage. Obviously, it was worse than that when I first got the device because, you have the new device, the new usage on the device, which obviously when you get a new phone, you tend to use it a lot more than you would, say, a month down the line. But as I've gotten more accustomed to the phone, it's fine. I'll normally, even if I'm gone all day without charging it more than once, I'll come home and I'll be in the 20 to 30% range. And that, of course, is, in between car rides and things like that. So that's not too bad at all. Of course, that was always one of my biggest concerns. But I can say now it's not an issue at all. The third issue, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, of course, is the camera difference. And that being, of course, that with the Pro Max, you do get the 5 times telephoto, whereas on the Pro series, you're just getting 3 times. But I mean, in all honesty, yes, the camera systems are great regardless. You do get a little more reach with the Pro Max. But I mean, in all honesty, I don't really take that many pictures with my iPhone. I know a lot of people do, so I mean, if you would prefer the longer zoom, definitely the Pro Max is your way to go. But in all honesty, if I feel like taking pictures, I'm going to reach for my camera. I shoot with a Sony a7R5, 61 megapixel sensor. The iPhone's not going to top that. So in all honesty, if I want range and things like that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to toss on one of my bigger lenses onto the a7R5 and go that way. But again, as far as for everyday usage and just your normal pictures, things like that, the iPhone 15 Pro does perfectly fine with that. I actually feel if you're comparing the iPhone 15 Pro to the Pro Max at the 3 times focal range, I can actually tell you, in my opinion, I feel like the actual 15 Pro has a better actual picture that it takes. And that, of course, is because you're not looking at a zoomed in picture like you're using with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The 15 Pro, that's actually one of the optical ranges. Obviously, with the 15 Pro Max, you're still cropping in a little bit until you get to that 5 times. Once you get to that 5 times, of course, it's going to look better on the Pro Max because the iPhone 15 Pro doesn't have that. But from that, from 3 to the 5, you're looking at a better picture, in my opinion, on the 15 Pro. So just something that, with all those 3 things, those used to be my biggest priority, my biggest thing for always wanting to go with the bigger phone. Don't get me wrong, it's a great phone. I may eventually at a later time switch back if, certain things change. The weight obviously is an issue as well, not as much. But as far as now, until the 16 series comes out, I will be using the 15 Pro as my go-to iPhone product, just because, again, it feels like the quality of life improvements for me are just more worth it than having a 15 Pro Max. It's just a lot more comfortable. Battery life is still good. Cameras are still great. And of course, I still have other options for cameras. And then, of course, as I mentioned, if I feel like I need to use a bigger device, I still have the Pixel Fold and something else that I have coming as well that I'll do an update on. But yeah, so I mean, for me, definitely, if you're considering the change, or if you're even considering, if you don't have, should I say, either of the new phones, and you're considering moving to one, say you have a 14 Pro Max and you want a 15 Pro because like me, you'd rather have the smaller size, test it out. Most carriers nowadays, they do have month-long return periods. So, if you wanted to test it, see if the battery life, the camera improvements are good enough for you before, making your final decision, definitely consider doing so. I can tell you I made the switch. I have no issues doing it. This is actually, filming this video is my first time actually picking up the 15 Pro Max in about a month. And yeah, I don't miss it at all. You feel the difference instantly. So I will not be going back. Not for this life cycle at least. Maybe in future devices, I may do that. As of now, no plans. Now, of course, if you want to see other updates, if you have other questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section. Again, if you are interested in these types of videos and you want to see what other updates I have coming, as I mentioned, I do have another possible replacement coming for this, actually coming in later today. I'll be doing that video as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, because we do have more content coming out in 2024. Until then, guys, it's your boy Sergi J, and I'm checking out. Have a good day, have a good night, whatever time of day you're watching this. I'm out. Take it easy.